I got bad feelings about this. Kylie escorts us to an adjacent hall. At this hour, the corridors and the rooms lining its sides are empty. Save for the gentle rustling of leaves, the twittering of birds outside, and the tapping of our foot against the floor, the whole area stays eerily quiet. Not unusual, though, we tell ourselves. This is the part of the building reserved for club activities at the end of the school day, and with the rest of the school busy with another event, it's only natural for it to be this deserted. Come afternoon, right after class, it'll once again be filled with people. For the time being, I focus on the toilets at the far end, heading straight for it. Luke stays behind, opting to wait for the end of this drama instead, obviously not wanting to deal with another person's kid. Meanwhile, Kylie follows right after me, unusually silent as we approach the ladies' room. Sometime before we made the turn down the hallway, she has stopped sniffling and started singing a tune under her breath. And cue the ghost.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady.
Yeah, you good? Probably to brace or calm herself, or maybe this is her way of preparing to pull her friend out of her sulk. It certainly reminds me of another person. Oh, come on. You're really thinking of Bella right now? I'll just sing a little song and everything will be okay. I make no remarks on it, however. It's all part of growing up, they say. Let her learn. The door is slightly ajar when we get to it, and from inside the sobs of a girl echo weakly, barely audible even in this kind of hush. Probably sobs we've heard before. It does sound more childlike, though. Turns out Kylie's not the only one upset about this. Despite the situation, a smile forms in my lips as I call out to her friend.
Hello? Hello there? You're Kylie's friend, aren't you? Melody, is it? She's looking for you.
Or is it Takako? Children can be so amusing sometimes. Granted, they can be exasperating, especially around this age, but the endearing things about them outweigh those. All you need is enough level of patience.
Career day's about to start, too. You'll have to come out, or you're going to be really late for it. Miss Alice won't be happy if one of her kids isn't there. I heard she brought little gifts for everyone who'll behave. Don't you want to receive one?
However, her cries show no sign of abating. They only grow louder. So it is Melody? Not close to a whale. Alarming, regardless. Hope Melody's okay.
Are you okay?
I keep waiting for her to go, "Rah!" From where I'm standing, it sounds almost like she's in some kind of pain, and it's not impossible. They do that at times, hiding what ails them for fear of a reprimand. If it's like that, coaxing her out might be useless. It also makes sense why she chose the loo furthest from their classroom. Wasting no time, I gesture for Kylie to wait and amble towards the door, calmly so I don't alarm her. At the same time, a distinct sense of déjà vu hits me. I've been in this position before. Behind a door, with someone crying on the other side, my calls ignored as their cries grow into a wail. Maybe we're stuck in a memory. Just this past week, actually. Huh. Okay, maybe with some other kids in class. Even so, being in the same situation before doesn't bring any comfort. I'm putting up for the child beside me, is the thick undercurrent of worry trickling into my stomach. I take one last breath and I nudge open the door. It all happens in the span of a second. A QTE. I don't make it past 2 steps into the room. Her cries abruptly stop. Light footsteps shuffle behind me, coming to a halt at the door. Kylie, don't you have a creepy smile? My heart skips a beat. And when I turn...
Kylie?
And of course you have a creepy smile. Girl, why? Your eyes!
Miss Pink? Miss Pink? Why didn't you help her?
My whole body becomes motionless at the sight of her, words catching in my throat and heart pounding rapidly against my chest. Is Melody dead? This is Kylie. I'm sure of it. Yet nothing in the manner she speaks or the way she tilts her head in question carries the youthful, innocent vibe she always brings with her. How about that wide-eyed stare? As if I'm merely looking at a dead, hollow imitation of the child.
Can't you hear her? She's asking for your help.
But it is not those that trigger a memory. It's the smile. Oh, no, really. It's those chilling eyes. Calling. Beckoning.
Why won't you listen to her?
All at once the memory returns to me. A tide that has receded and now returns to shore with an overwhelming force, carrying images of a single moment from days ago. Of a world passing by in a blur, and of features I can barely discern under the little light there was. Not even a week has passed. In this minute, while I keep my eyes trained on the child before me, they return with such unbearable clarity. There are no horrid wounds this time, no blood streaming down a pale face. Thank heavens. Just lips contorted into a small, twisted smile. They brim with venom I've never expected to ever see in a child, sending tiny pinpricks of dread crawling up my limbs and winding up my neck.
You're a bad person. People like you deserve to die.
What did Becca do? I can't breathe. Oh, there it is. Those whispers and laughters again. Judging. Mocking. Taunting. Each scathing word ringing sharp and true against my ears. My throat closes in. My whole body tenses. A chill settles at the tips of my fingers, every digit gone rigid from the cold. With every single draw of breath, any struggle for air or freedom, the coils wrapped around my body tighten, dragging me down. A gradual, torturous descent into another bottomless abyss.
Help!
On. And on. And on. Until I lose touch with myself and the world.
Help me!
Until darkness claims me and... unexpectedly, a note. In the distance, harsh and piercing, cutting through the thick stupor and shattering the haze without warning.
Are you ladies done with your business here? I don't have all morning to wait for you two.
Interesting. My eyes snap open and the world shifts into place with a ragged gasp. When I glance up, a different set of eyes greet me.
Are you okay, Miss Pink?
No anger. No vile hatred in them. Just plain, sincere concern. Bit by bit, I become aware of my surroundings and myself as warmth steadily slips back to me. I've reached out for the nearby counter to steady myself at some point, and my knuckles have gone white from how rigid my grip on it is. It's over now, yet the tension hasn't left my body. My heart still hammers hard against my chest in an erratic rhythm, and my breathing still comes in short, shallow bursts. Before me, Kylie fumbles with her hands, utterly unsure of what to do to an adult, in what's probably a laughable state.
Did you get sick? I'll call Tio, okay? Stay here and don't move.
No. No need. Just leave me alone.
Aw.
Tio will know how to fix you. Oh, wait, okay?
I wish I could speak reassurances to her, but I can't shake it off. The dread is there, twisting at my insides in anticipation. Of what? I am no longer sure. Pushing myself off the counter, I break off into a run. Brushing off the anxious look Kylie gives me when I gently push her away on my way out, or the furrow in Luke's brows when I stumble into him outside. Whatever they both saw in my face, I care not to know. Bloody hell, I don't even understand what's happening anymore. Wow, she ran back to her classroom. So what happened to Melody? It seems, and also seems like Rebecca was going to be murderized there by our ghost girl, who thinks Becca's a bad person. And the only thing that saved her was Luke's voice. So the ghost definitely has a vested interest in Luke. Without a doubt. Actually interrupted her. More and more questions. The tremors continue long after the last of my classes have ended. You went and taught after that? Girl, respect. Although none of my students have commented on it, I've caught a few sharing anxious glances. Every time a pen slips from my hand, or my shoulders tense whenever called. How unusual it must be for them to see the normally composed Miss Scales become a bundle of nerves. Even the most boisterous ones have given me less grief today. Ooh. You'd think being on my 4th cup of tea would provide any sort of comfort. Or is this the 5th? Egad! Why does counting matter now? Egad. The fact that I can't easily shake it off this time should tell me something. The last time this happened, I passed it off as some lapse in my part after having been sick the week before.
And it is a natural conclusion.
But those are just stories. A centuries-old lore passed by the locals to keep children in line. What place doesn't have those? One of my Dawes books even went as far as to describe them as a strong part of Isabella's culture. Tree giants, women who feed on unborn children straight from a mother's womb, or hell, there's even that one story about a demon baby. All folklore that never had a smidgen of truth in it, most probably told to scare off the natives there back in the old days. Much like every other one in every other place. The world is more universal than people care to think. But looking at it from where I'm standing now, after staring right into the eyes of that woman, after all the things I've been hearing and feeling, perhaps there's really more to that bloody letter than some awful Halloween prank.
Perhaps Isabella's right all along.
Finally. A terrible thing, if true. Though that thought doesn't linger long, thankfully. Soon the ringing of my mobile takes my attention away from it. It's Marianne McCullough. An unfamiliar name flashes before me once the screen lights up and my brows knit together. Marianne McCullough. Staring hard at the screen, I try to remember when I've entered this person on my contact list. Oh, right, she probably wants the history book. It takes a moment, but when it clicks, my eyes zeroes in on the book lying wide open on my table. That's the one. Loaned out from the library almost a week ago. I met the woman there by sheer coincidence. A fellow history buff, apparently. We were after the same book, but in the end, she's given it to me, under the condition that I call her once I'm done. To be honest, I've completely forgotten about it until now, and, well, I haven't really taken a peek at it until today. Normally, I'd be done with a whole volume of this size a few days after taking it out. About 1 or 2, depending on how busy I am. But finding a chance to sit down and read through it has been more difficult lately than I anticipated. One moment, I'm busy simply grading worksheets, attending a movie premiere the next, then someone suddenly inviting me out for one reason or another. Days later, a friend stops showing up in her flat, right after worrying reports pop up in the local news. There simply isn't enough time to breathe and get a grip on things. I have been flipping through the pages of said book moments ago, though never really reading anything and merely hoping for a distraction. To no avail. My phone gives out another ring, and this time I do not hesitate to answer.
Marianne?
Hello! Here I was starting to wonder if it was a bad time to call.
Sorry, I had to have like a long inner monologue about who you are and how long it takes for me to read things. You know.
Is it?
No, not at all. I dismissed my last class a few minutes ago. I'm pretty much free for the rest of the afternoon. Unless something comes up. Is this about last time? The book?
Not really. I was hoping to ask you about some other thing.
Oh, sure. What about?
You grew up in this city, didn't you?
It's a peculiar question to ask to someone you've just met, but I answer her nevertheless. I'm more curious where she's heading with this by starting with that.
Born and raised. 3rd-generation migrant. Why do you ask?
So, you must be familiar with the local lore. The, stories?
I love how nonchalant she's trying to be.
Quite. If I'm going to teach about history, I'd like to think I am, yeah? But a family friend would be a better person to ask. If you want, I can contact him for you.
No, let's just keep this thing between us, okay? It's nothing too big. Alright. I really don't know how else to put this without sounding a bit crazy. But things have been really, odd.
hold that thought, Marianne. Where are we in the stream of time? Okay. So after that, career day. Okay. So, Marianne, what have you seen up to this point? Okay, nothing on the 25th. Okay, so you've already had contact with the mirror. Okay, gotcha.
Do you remember the mansion I mentioned back when we met? My current project?
In hindsight, I should have expected it'll lead to this. She must not have lived here long if she's just asking about this now. It didn't take a week with Isabella when she arrived, but that's Isabella. Superstitious down to the last hair. Though it won't be too far off to think Marianne has only started thinking about this recently. She's working on the damn house itself. I must admit, even I'm curious now, despite living here for so many years and having so many chances to look it up before.
The Ermengarde mansion, yes?
Yes, that one. And, the thing is... Oh dear, this is a bad idea. You know what? Just forget I ever called you about this.
Marianne, no!
It must have been the sunny weather. It's making me sick and see stupid things.
See things?
No, wait. It's all right. I don't mind.
There's a moment's pause before she responds again. She's right in that this is a silly thing to talk about, especially between, what I assume, two people who are pretty grounded on their beliefs with regards to these things. I won't blame her if she hesitates.
I can't believe I'm asking you about this.
It's fine. Why don't you just think of it as some form of research?
There you go.
Well, all right. But after this, we're going to forget we ever had this talk.
All right, girl.
My lips will be sealed. Now, what is it about the mansion?
Just, what do you know about it? The general gist. The place is past. What happened to the owners?
Mm-hmm.
Anything you can give me.
Let's see. To start off,
I do my best to give her a concise summary, from the time the house was commissioned 400 years ago and who had it built. Up to the point it got deserted after the last heir's death and the deed was passed on to the Ermengarde's nearest relatives. Frankly, if it weren't for those urban legends persisting, the house would have already faded into obscurity long ago. Demolished, even. These are all nothing she probably hasn't heard of before, yet there's dissatisfaction in her tone once I finish.
That's all there really is to it?
as far as I know. There's this little bit I forgot to mention about Lady Charlotte Ermengarde's death, but most of those are just theories.
Do go on.
Aside from that, this is really everything we've been teaching all these years. Should there be anything more?
No mention of any other weird stuff? Other crazy stories? Or a letter of some sort?
Come on, Becca. My blood runs cold. Any warmth and comfort the tea I've drank has given me prior has instantly been drained out of me. The phone creaks softly as my light hold on it turns into a firm grip. This whole letter bullshit is starting to turn into more than a coincidence.
None that I've heard or read of. What does a letter have to do with this?
Oh, no. It was just something I came across. Ignore it. Random thoughts, you know?
Oh, boy, you two.
By the way, I need to run. Thanks for answering my questions.
Bye! She ends the call abruptly with only a clipped goodbye, leaving my mind heavy with even more thoughts. Let's read about it. After the strange encounter at the little girl's room, Rebecca tried to remain composed throughout her day. As her classes ended, she received a phone call from Marianne McCullough, who asked unusual things about the Ermengarde mansion. The mood around my classroom has gone considerably denser in light of what little I've gleaned from that conversation. I don't think Marianne's lying about her intent. Her interest is genuine, I'd give her that. But she's left a lot of things out. I get the sense she only asked because something's happening around her too, and if she excuse me. Whole bunch of air suddenly. And if she hadn't mentioned the letter, I probably wouldn't have made the connection.
Just what the hell did we get ourselves into?
Deep trouble. Of course, there's still a lot of confusing details in this. All of these are just assumptions. No concrete conclusion to be formed with what we have, and if we want to find out what we're really dealing with, I think Marianne's right. There might be something more to those stories. As absurd as it sounds, the very place that gave us that letter might tell us something beyond what we know. And tomorrow night, I have a few hours of that chance at the housewarming party. Totally not an exciting thought, since the place is privately owned now. I can't just wander around. But it's enough reason to keep the dread at bay as I step out of the room, ready to put an end to this day. Oh. Hello? However, all those good vibes disappear into thin air when I run headfirst into Luke. There's really something in this man. Something kissable, or punchable, depending on my mood. Regardless of how much my opinion of him has changed over the span of a few hours, he simply blasts through every good impression people have of him without care or thought. He doesn't even need to open his mouth. His mere presence does it. In all honesty, I think he's the kind of guy only a mother can love. Well...
You're still here?
Obviously. Who do you think's standing in front of you?
A mirage.
An ass.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, come on, Daisy. You've done better than that. Losing your touch?
Luke, I don't have time for this. I'm heading home, and your face is the last thing I want to see before I leave. What do you want?
Belatedly, I notice his hand. Partly raised, almost poised for a knock. At a slight lift of an eyebrow, he quickly drops it to his side and turns to Kylie. Hi, Kylie. Are you de-ghosted? She's standing a few steps away from him, holding her hands behind her back and toeing at something on the floor with the tip of her shoe. Then he proceeds to make vague gestures at me and the child. He resembles a fish flopping for air with the way he's moving his arms. Though I think he's trying to urge her to speak up.
Munchkin, I thought you wanted to tell her something.
You do it, Tio.
This wasn't my idea, darling.
Don't worry. I won't tell Tia what you told me the other day. And this morning.
Wow, blackmailing your Tio. Luke exhales, rolling his eyes at the ceiling, and maybe praying for the universe to grant him more patience. He knows a losing battle when he sees one. He may act worse than a 5-year-old, throwing a tantrum at times, but he's no match for an actual child. Nothing better than being served a dose of his own medicine, huh? Once his frustration has been promptly let out, he points a rude finger at me. I do my best to stare the offending digit down, but I can already hear the demand before it's even out of his lips.
You, come with us.
Pardon?
What makes you think I will?
Because little Rugrat here is upset and worried, and it's your bloody fault. I've no idea what happened this morning, but if you don't come with us, I won't be hearing the end of it from her. So do me a favor, Daisy, and just be glad I'm inviting you.
You're asking for a favor, and you can't be bothered to be polite?
He's anxious to ask you out without asking you out.
I don't know. It's been a really busy day for me. I kind of miss my couch.
Daisy, you just say yes.
To the dress? A pause follows, almost too dramatic. Afterwards, his face twists into something between a grimace and a smile. As it happens, he appears like he's in a lot of physical pain. You think the man is getting an aneurysm by simply being polite.
Please?
Well, that must have been a huge effort.
Tia said it'll be his treat.
What? I said no such thing, Munchkin. I only agreed to this because you requested it. I'm under no obligation to feed her.
I promise we'll be quiet the next time I visit.
Man.
Oh, all right, but just one meal and make it the cheapest.
Good grief. He and Ashton will get along famously on that department. On a different front, the offer of free dinner does sound enticing, however half-heartedly given it is. Mostly because Kylie has wisely put on her puppy eyes, and by the second I find all my choices slipping away from me.
See, Miss Pink?
turn into a ghost again.
You don't have to feel sad anymore, okay?
Oh, well,
My mobile buzzes from my pocket, cutting me mid-sentence, and for a second I'm spared from the act of giving an answer I'll regret either way. Fishing the gadget out, I wave a hand at him and excuse myself. A disgruntled expression is on Luke's face before I turn away. I'd be lying if I said it didn't amuse me. He's as eager to be done with this as I am, but what can I do? Checking, a message from Ashton... the other boy from Ashton shows up. Oh. Hey, Becca. I'll be around Salemwell this evening. Need to meet someone in the area. I might have to drop by yours and Isabella's place after. See ya. Just the usual. Unlike what he does to Zachary, Ashton has the decency to let us know when he's dropping by or he's in the area for some business. From the way it's phrased, it sounds to be the latter. Either way, I'm glad he's at least aware of that boundary. Not that Isabella's ever going to let him leave the building unscathed if he ever pulls the same stunt he does with the other man. I cringe to imagine what she'll do to him. Sighing, I slip the gadget back to my pocket. But looking up to see Luke's utter impatience on his face, I now face a different dilemma. The two of them are still waiting, and knowing the kind of person Luke is, this is already a grand gesture of goodwill coming from him. All to please his godchild. His denials aside, it's easy to tell he's really fond of Kylie from his actions alone. I kinda hate to ruin that.
Well, Daisy, we're waiting here.
On the other hand, there's Ash. His message doesn't exactly imply he's going to wait or he's expecting me to be there, but there are matters I hope to discuss with him in person, to put it simply. Housewarming party matters. With inviting Isabella out of the question, I only have Zachary and Ashton. Although the former has already made it clear he'll be busy this week, and, well, Ashton has been my first choice from the start. Even if he detests attending gatherings like this. It's company that counts. We can be miserable together. But that's the problem, isn't it? He hates them, and it's very likely his answer will be a flat no. I'd rather not hear that. If, by some miracle, he agrees to it, he'll probably be sulking the whole party. More like he'll be working the whole party. Not really a tough choice when you put it like that. Still... tough choice, but I have to pick one. Okay, so this is the game bonking you on the head with, like, you want Luke or you want Ashton? The problem is, I'm not getting Becca together with anybody. I just wanted to see what Hannah's relationship with Luke is. I don't want to push... Yeah, I mean... I'm torn, because next time I play through, I'm getting Becca together with Ash. So on the one hand, I'm like... should I save the Ash thing for next playthrough and then see how that goes? But at the same time, I don't want to go with Luke and then push that too far and ruin the Hannah-Luke thing. So I'm kind of like... I guess... Luke, we've blown by our initial thing, and Ash, we only just got back to normal. So maybe we should do Ashton anyway? Yeah. I gotta try and kind of even out these two boys and make sure she ends up alone. I'll keep you alive, Becca. I'll do everything in my power for that, but no smooches till next time, either way. Okay. I have other things to do. Okay. So we lost some affection. That's okay. We're still, like, pretty good with Luke. Though, when you look at it closely, it isn't such a difficult decision to make. First and foremost, no matter where I look at this, it is inappropriate to some degree. I mean, the guy's married. There's that. Disregarding Luke's honest intentions, I've only known the man for a grand total of 2 days, including today. If I'm going to be thoroughly specific, I'll give it a grand total of around 10 hours. And I'm already in love. By all means, that's not enough reason for me to join them for dinner, even if he says Kylie's the one who requested it. To other people, it won't appear as innocent as he makes it out to be. And if there is one ugly thing about this city, it's this place's penchant for inane gossip. One little spark, it'll spread like wildfire. Who knows how far it'll go? How many ears it'll reach? What if Ashton hears about it? What if his wife hears about it? I'd rather not think about the consequences to that until a couple playthroughs from now. I've got enough on my plate lately as it is. Being at the center of a rumor mill along with this man, in whatever form it takes, sends unpleasant chills down my spine. My answer must have already shown in my face, as Kylie's smile immediately dissolves into a pout. I am sorry, Kylie.
You're not gonna join us, are you?
Maybe next time. Well, not next time, but next time.
I'm sorry, Kylie. I'd love to, but I have other things to do. Another time, maybe? A friend just texted me about something urgent, and he wants to meet tonight.
Just say it's a date, Daisy. The little rugrat will understand. She's not an infant. No need for blatant lies.
Heat instantly crawls up my face at his baseless insinuations. Oh, what I would give for another chance to put a real dent on his skull.
What even gave you that idea?
How red your face is.
And even if it is, why do you care? Stop sticking your nose in other people's affairs.
Oh, your face says it all, woman. You think I won't recognize those longing looks?
Oh, boy.
There isn't a look, you Ugh! There isn't a look, all right?
Sure, whatever helps you sleep at night, Daisy.
He's known you for 10 hours, and he can already recognize the longing look.
You already have a story written inside that head of yours, don't you?
Oh, please. It's not that interesting. The color of your face does suit you, though. Matches the hair. Well, come on now, Munchkin. I'll just buy you an extra glass of that parfait.
With extra strawberries?
Ooh.
I'll get you a basket full if you want. As long as you behave. And no complaints if they don't have enough syrup again. Deal?
Deal.
Look at these two and their evil smiles.
Have fun with your date, Miss Pink.
Don't shout it in the hallway, please. Luke's already leading the child away before I can correct her. Upon reaching the end of the hall, however, he doesn't miss the chance to shoot me another one of those infuriating winks. Does he really think women enjoy those? I'd sue him for harassment if I can. Bleh. Though I must admit, the two of them walking together hand in hand is an endearing sight in itself. Relationship status updated? What got updated? Wait, what? Huh? Huh? What got updated? What got updated? Rebecca, what got updated? Should I be worried? He says he dislikes the idea of having children of his own, but it's easy to see some part of him genuinely wants them. He's gonna have some. What's stopping him? That's something to mull over, along with every other confusing and frustrating thing about this guy. Some other time, though, and another route. Ashton's waiting. His car's headlights have been left turned on, illuminating the otherwise empty parking lot. If it's like that, this is probably going to be a quick visit. Although our landlady would probably have a few hundred words to say about this before letting it go. Not many in this complex own a vehicle anyway to warrant the space's frequent use, owing to this area's proximity to downtown Luxburn. No one's going to be disturbed if one car stays parked with its light on for a few minutes. Right now, though, it serves as a pleasant company while I idle inside my own car, thumbing the invitation's fine print, flipping it over and over until the motions become familiar enough. What should I say? Do you want to go with me to a housewarming party tomorrow night? How should I say it? There's a very high chance he'll say no, but on the off chance he accepts, what should I do? Fears. Doubts. Questions I haven't asked before, and more often than not, the anxiety is because of him. 17 years ago. 17. I've been in the same position, a different letter in hand. Somehow nothing has changed because you won't say anything. Perhaps if he'd noticed how I've always felt about him years ago, I wouldn't be in this predicament. But at some point you gotta tell him, so he will notice. He's not a mind reader, Becca. 17 years! Honestly, he managed to ace all those exams at school without even lifting a finger, and he couldn't figure this out.
How dense can he get?
But I can't very well wait for another 2 decades just for something as measly as an invitation, can I? It's not like it's going to be a date. Although, frankly, I wouldn't mind if it is. Maybe this is your opportunity to say. But it's not really, because I'm getting him together with Bella. However, that's a wish best reserved for some other time. I won't get anywhere if I just keep thinking about the what-ifs. Gathering all my thoughts and courage, I step out of my car and gingerly make my way upstairs, invitation in hand. Ever since the incident 3 days ago, there's a strange air permeating the atmosphere here. Weighted, but the sort that slowly trickles through you until the burden of it finally bogs you down with some kind of disquiet. The days since have been uneasy, and Isabella's absence from her flat does not help settle it. Every day, coming home somewhat feels like an uphill battle in itself, leaving you spent when you're supposed to be getting some rest. Is Zachary experiencing the same thing? I certainly am. The same weary slump is also on Ashton's shoulders once I catch a glimpse of him. He's leaning casually on the rails, his back against its metal surface, while reading through a bunch of papers. Forensic report case. Each one appears more important than the other, despite me having never read a letter of it. He'll probably head back to the precinct after this, if he's not going to drop by Zachary's for a bit of a shut-eye. No rest for the wicked. But no matter how occupied he seems, he pauses anyway and looks up from his work the moment he hears my treads. He raises a hand in greeting as a small smile spreads across his lips. Exhausted as I am, I can't help but return it to him.
What brought you here?
He hums something inaudible, neither an answer nor even a vague hint, before he turns his attention back to the papers. For a passing second, I thought he'd ignore or evade the question, like every single time I've asked. But then he shuffles the documents back to a binder and sets it aside with a huff, its sound more fatigued than I've ever heard from him recently. Either there's simply too many things keeping him busy at once, or his investigation isn't going too well. Maybe even both.
Just work.
Just work? Do you expect me to believe that?
In a way. I didn't think an important contact ditched me and now I'm stuck would make for a cool alibi.
Nice.
Did it work?
As if there's going to be any difference. You're still a dafty. Anyway, do you want to come in? But if you're going to hang around for a bit, you better turn those headlights off. My landlady's one hairline away from banning you off this place, you know? Stop taking the piss out of her. She's a nice woman.
When she stops taking the piss out of Shirley, maybe I will.
You and your bloody car.
The first time I've heard of the name, I did a double take. From the way he put it, it was as if he was talking about some woman he met somewhere, surprisingly got along with and grown fond of. Never mind how impossible that is, knowing his lack of interest for people outside our small circle. Honestly, it sent a surge of panic in me. It lasted for days. Until he proudly introduced me to his new car. His car!
Hey, it's a nice name. Don't laugh at it. You'll hurt her feelings.
Don't call her in it, then. Bleh.
I'm gonna have to give that offer a pass, though.
Nothing unexpected, but admittedly I'm hoping he'll stay for a few minutes. Suddenly, asking him to accompany me to some housewarming party is starting to turn into a bad idea. If he can't even be bothered to spare a second of his time to his friends, what more if he has to stand some hours in a room full of strangers?
I need to get going. I just dropped in to check on something and...
His words trail off, cut mid-sentence on purpose, leaving it for me to comprehend the rest of it. At the same time, his eyes shift, momentarily, towards the door closest to us. Isabella's unit. Eerily quiet now in her absence. The instant his lips curve into a small frown and his shoulders tense, I know work is far from his reasons for being here. Being all too aware of that idea alone summons another dull ache straight into my chest. Like every time, every single moment, he affords her the attention he can never seem to spare others. While it is a worry better left for a different situation, it twinges the heart nevertheless.
Is there a problem?
Nothing of note. Abigail just wanted to ask her a few things. It's related to that incident with Cooper. You heard the one.
Hold on. She isn't in trouble, is she?
I never thought about the fact that Isabella would look kind of suspicious for the murder, considering they were partners on this giant mansion deal, and now she doesn't have to split the commission, and she's got, you know, a family that needs her help financially in the Philippines. Yeah, actually, investigating Isabella is a smart move from the police's perspective, and I hadn't thought of that till this moment.
No, I don't think so. Not as far as I know. And do you really think Scaredy Cat can do anything like that? It's just an off-the-record thing, okay? Abigail wanted to confirm something. She knows I'm friends with someone working at BRC, so she asked me. Apparently she isn't getting anything from that company, as long as the red tape's in the way. It's nothing urgent, though. She isn't answering her phone again, so I thought I'd check myself. I can wait until she gets home.
If she comes home soon. The last time I saw her was 2 nights ago.
His demeanor immediately changes. Despite his careful attempt to appear nonchalant, his eyes scream of an unspoken worry. Where has she been? It's the 27th, right? Yeah, it's the 27th. We have nothing about... We have nothing about where she's been the last 2 days. It's almost painful to see how much he tries to hide it, especially in front of someone he has known for years.
What? Did she take a vacation or something?
No word from her, unfortunately. And I don't think she'll go on a trip without telling us. It's been 2 days. 3 if she's not going to show up tomorrow either. Do you think we might have to file a missing person report?
I hope not. Even Zach's not acting like himself already. I wonder what that guy ate. But let me know if anything happens. You know how to contact me. I'll see you later, Becca.
Ashton squeezes my shoulder, light as he can, before stepping away and heading straight for the stairs. His way of offering comfort in the middle of this little mess we found ourselves in. But amidst all of this, a tiny voice at the back of my mind nudges at a memory. Something I've forgotten, and the very reason why I've chosen to return home early. He's made it 4 steps down when realization kicks in, and awareness of the envelope I've been holding returns to me. Panic rears before proper words can form or I can think about the situation. Not a second sooner, I'm calling after him.
Ashton, wait!
He halts, 1 foot already down another step when he turns to me, raising an eyebrow in question.
Yeah?
And of all times, it is in this moment when I falter. The adrenaline from earlier's panic suddenly recedes. All of a sudden, none of the things I've prepared to say will take form, and I'm caught between simply forgetting about this or just blurting it out to him while hoping for the best. Should I even? I mean, you brushed off dinner with Luke and Kylie to come back so you could ask him to go to the thing. Just ask him. Just ask him. Get the rejection over and done with. Just do it. Just do it. Don't call out to him and then be like, I changed my mind. Nice. Okay. Ashton's, so now if we ever have another Luke choice, we can do another Luke choice. There's nothing wrong with trying, I suppose. I'm not going to lose anything if he says no. Right. Which, frankly, has a very high chance of happening than the opposite, though the thought still doesn't prevent heat from crawling up my face and send my heart racing. It's better to get this over with before my throat closes up and I lose my nerve.
Tomorrow afternoon. Do you have time?
1 step closer? Oh. Yeah, I mean, this would be. If I'm not going to sabotage it later. Sorry, Becca. A small frown is already on his face. I already see where this is going and what he's thinking from that alone. Yet, for some mulish, I guess, some mulish reason, I continue, hanging on to that tiny glimmer of hope he'll say yes if I present an argument good enough for him.
That depends. Why?
Well, you see, someone sent an invite for a housewarming party, and I thought you might want to...
Rebecca, I'd rather stand on the messy end of a gunshot. You know that.
Damn.
I know, it's just you're one of the few people I can count on with things like this.
Aw.
That's cool. I appreciate the thought.
That's cool. Ash.
But really, Zach's a better companion. Gatherings like that just aren't my cup of tea.
It's at the right mansion. We know how much you don't like Luke, right?
It did cross my mind, you know. If he isn't busy with his freelance work, I'd probably ask him too. Actually, you two would have been spared if Isabella was here, but
Why not just skip out on it? The world's not going to end if one guest doesn't show up.
trust me, I'd love to. But I promised Mom I'll be there.
Still can't say no, huh?
Like you're any better. Besides, the person who sent this is an old friend of Mom and Dad. If it's important to them, why not? Though, who would have thought, huh? The famous Evans heir used to be tutored by my parents. Apparently, we also met before.
Wait, who?
Yep.
Evans. Hannah Evans. Well, she's already married. She goes by Hannah Wright now. Remember the couple who bought the mansion Isabella's selling?
The same people?
As far as I know. Unless I misread their address, or there's another Hannah Wright in this city that we don't know about.
Let me see that.
He's so angry now. Without waiting, he walks closer and takes the invitation off my hands. Gently, but with the same force of urgency in his voice. The thing I hate about this, which will happen when I actually pursue him as Becca, is he's not going with Becca as a date, and not even as her friend. But he's kind of using her in a way just to get into the right mansion to do his investigating. And that's really gonna suck. I wonder, Becca's gonna have to realize that at some point. Maybe here, maybe not when we're actually pursuing Ash, but now I think she will see that and be super ticked, which she should be. But I'm just like, I'm preparing myself. I'm just like, ugh. I don't know what he finds in it, but his eyebrows draw together as his eyes scan through the little lines of text printed on the small piece of paper. His hold on the envelope tightens with each pass, and by the time he has finished reading, his mouth has formed into a thin line. It's a housewarming invitation, all right.
You never mentioned this.
I'm mentioning it now. What are you talking about?
We met just once. Or at least, that's what Mum told me. Honestly, I can't recall anything from it. Otherwise, I would have told you about it.
He hums something inaudible under his breath, all while thumbing the paper, staring at it as if doing so will proffer him answers to every unspoken question in his head. I mean, I do feel bad for Ash, because from his perspective, the girl he's in love with is working for them. His best friend, Zach, has also worked for them, and now his other best friend, Becca, apparently was friends with Hannah when they were small children. And he's just like, why is everyone that is... I only have like a few close people in my life, and all of them are spider-webbed in with the rights. So I kind of feel bad for him. When he gleans nothing from it, he merely folds the envelope back to its form.
All right. I'll go with you.
What?
I'll go with you. That shouldn't be a problem, right? Unless you've already made up your mind about asking Z-Man.
No, I told you already the guy's busy. Why would I bother him for this when I can go alone? But what about your own work and...
Oh, don't worry, he'll be working.
I can make time for this. 3 o'clock, yeah? I'll pick you up an hour or so before.
Well, let's read about it. Aww. Luke and Kylie asked Rebecca out for dinner as she was about to leave, but the latter chose to meet with Ashton instead. At Salemwell, after a brief talk with Ashton about Isabella, Rebecca invited him to the housewarming party. Despite his qualms, Ashton agreed in the end. My head reels, less from what this implies, more from how easy all this seems for him. How fast this turnaround is. He's already halfway down the stairs when any semblance of sense returns to me, and I can finally string 2 words of protest together. I'm sorry, I keep feeling like I need to burp. Ugh, go away. Don't protest. He said yes. Why self-sabotage? Yet, all of it dies on my tongue at the small smile he shoots me. He disappears from view seconds later. his footsteps gradually fading as he descends the stairwell until all I can hear are my own shallow breaths and a heartbeat, loud, pounding hard against my chest. It is only after I'm standing alone in my room minutes later that it sinks in. He has taken the invitation with him, but besides that, more than that, he has also accepted mine. He took the invitation as evidence. Ashton! Calling this happiness is a complete understatement. Oh no, what have I done to Becca? I've set her up for heartbreak. For now, looming thoughts of the mansion and that woman lay silent at the back of my head. You know what? She had a terrible day. A ghost tried to kill her. She deserves some happiness. I'm gonna give her that, even as brief as it's gonna last. Oh, Becca, I'm sorry. The night wears on without further incident, despite the great number of thoughts swimming inside my head. Come morning, there's only a hush, a strained sort of stillness unlike the ones greeting me every morn. This one's uneasy, tight with anticipation, like a string stretched thin, merely waiting for the proper time to snap. Granted, it doesn't make my day any less pleasant, but the edge is there. And as expected, the second I step out of my flat, it comes apart, broken by the voices of two squabbling adults echoing from a floor below. Quiet was nice while it lasted. Shame.
What the hell were you thinking?
Ash?
I wasn't.
Oh, no.
Ow! Could you let go?
Well, the happiness was nice while it lasted. Not a few seconds later, they both ascend the stairs with Ashton pulling Isabella by her wrist. She struggles, as she should, but his hold on her remains firm. Freeing herself means having to draw blood as she attempts to pry his hand off with her other one, or using unnecessary force to push herself away. Neither of which is better than the other. One could potentially end in an accident, while the other means having to hurt him physically. She has the good sense to realize that, at least. However, it doesn't take the desperate edge in her voice when she answers Ashton's temper with her own. So on they go, none the wiser to my presence.
Do you have any idea how much trouble you could get in?
That's why I'm asking you for help.
Is this what you've been doing these past 3 days? Because this doesn't make your case convincing, Isabella.
Rose died, Ash.
I know. Every single person in Luxburg knows. It's on the damn news. But that doesn't mean...
People are missing. Some of those are my friends. And BRC's just covering it all up.
Okay, so she's been investigating the last 3 days.
You can't just barge into my office and expect me to do anything about it, right off the bat. This isn't a children's game, Isabella. We have procedures. We have to follow protocol. There's red tape all over this case for a reason. We sure as hell don't investigate things just because some stupid letter spooked us.
Ash, you have to believe me this time. If we don't do anything right now, more people will...
It's been a whole week. This stupid letter prank is getting old real fast. I'm sick of it. It was funny the first time, not so much now.
You're the only one that can help me with this, Ash. Even Rebecca won't.
Ahem.
All right, you two are awfully loud. Huh. What's going on here?
So now I shall be the third louder person. Both of their heads snap up, almost in unison. A displeased frown is on each of their faces, but this is a necessary interruption. What can they do? People still in their units have already taken interest on the commotion, with some taking a peek behind their curtains, while others are bold enough to creak open their doors, if only slightly. If they don't keep it down, pretty soon our landlady will show up. Getting a reprimand from her is the last thing I want to happen first thing on a Friday morning, even if this is hardly my fault.
Well, if you want to continue this, you two better do it elsewhere. You're disturbing other people.
You have to shout it, though.
Don't worry, we're done here.
No, we aren't. Becca, I looked it up. I called them. I visited some of them, and...
They're all dead.
Which you shouldn't have done in the first place.
They're friends. She was calling some friends. And workmates. It's chill.
Isabella, you're going to create more problems for us with what you're doing. A team has already been assigned to it. Leave it to us.
Your precious team is looking at it the wrong way. Becca, it's not just Rose. There are others.
Go on. That last bit strikes a chord, prods strongly at a memory. At that vicious smile already etched deeply inside my mind. The image appears clear enough that, at the mere mention of it, I stumble on my own question.
What do you mean?
The letter, Rebecca! It's not...
It's not the letter?
It's nothing. If there's really something going on because of that dumb letter, none of us would be standing here. We've all read it, haven't we? But Rebecca's alive, Zach's alive, I'm alive. So for the last time, this isn't a curse. There's a murderer on the loose, and your coworkers happen to be the victims. Give it a rest, Isabella. It's too early for this shit.
Don't you think that's too much for a coincidence?
Not so much. Most serial killers follow a pattern. I'll tell you about it some other time.
The condescending. That's what I'm trying to say.
And anyway, coincidence or not, the point is, civilians like you aren't supposed to get involved. You're putting yourself in danger.
I wasn't chasing after.
Will the both of you slow down and stop arguing for a minute? What's this about your coworkers, Belle?
Becca, please don't tell me now you believe this shit.
Sure. In a heartbeat, I'll agree with Ashton. That's how it has always been, besides having a very good point. Really, they're the very same ones he'll make every time I ask too many questions. But the fact of the matter is, what he wants to hear from me right now is far from what I've been sensing these past few days. It doesn't matter what Isabella or I believe on our own. Something odd has been happening around me, and that letter she picked up is at the heart of this. But, however I respond to the question in their faces, only one of them will be pleased with it. So I have to pick between Belle and Ash. I mean, I'm gonna look at this, but... I have to side with Isabella. I'm sorry, Ash. I'll side with you on your route because I have to, but you have got to listen to the fact that the 3 people in your closest circle have seen a ghost lady. Shock. But you know what? Sisters before misters and such. Especially when there's ghost girls around. Ashton in particular won't be too happy to hear it. Imagining the look on his face doesn't take too much effort, because it's right there. His entire posture shifts the moment my reluctance shows. Shoulders tensing, brows furrowing, eyes gaining a sharp edge. He's already bracing himself from the disappointment. And it will be a disappointment. Not in a million years did I ever believe I'll be saying this either.
I might have seen her. The woman Belle's been telling us about. The one she said she saw in the attic.
Both of them stare at me like I've grown an extra head, and for a few moments Ashton looks as if he's about to have a fit. A pause treads at its heels after, a silence thick enough one can almost hear a pin drop.
You're kidding, right?
Do I look like I'm joking?
Do you see this face?
Really, Becca? Not funny.
Ash, I'm not lying. Why would I lie about this? It's been this way since the film fest. The past few days have been really odd since we read that letter. Last night, you mentioned Zach hasn't been acting like himself. Maybe you should ask him, too.
Yes.
Or maybe you're all just feeling under the weather.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sick. Don't you think I'd know that by now?
Becca, you're starting to sound like Scaredy Cat.
So put the pieces together.
Give me a break.
Why don't you?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, you two.
Oh, Belle, please relax. Isabella's voice cuts sharply through the conversation, abruptly putting an end to the brewing argument.
It's all my fault. This is all my fault. I was only hoping I could fix this before any of you. I'm sorry for dragging you all into this.
She breathes in, deep, steadying, and in that moment something falls behind her eyes as she looks away.
I'll fix this. I promise.
A quiet resolve. The same one I saw in her that night from 3 days ago. But this time it burns brighter. Even Ashton wavers at its sight when she looks him straight in the eyes, gaze unflinching. Gradually, his grip on her wrist loosens.
Belle, there's nothing to fix. The problem is...
Just this once, Ash.
Her voice, though small and lacking any force, stops him. Along with it, every sound, every noise dies around us. A hush descending as if the world is waiting for her words.
You don't have to come with me. But if I don't do anything, I am going to regret it.
She lays a hand atop his. Aw. Well, gentle, pleading, almost intimate, if one does not consider the circumstances we found ourselves in.
Please.
Ashton will never tell a soul, will never admit it, even to himself. But it is in that short second that his own resolve breaks. The moment the hard edge in his eyes softens and he relinquishes his hold on her, letting his hand fall limply to his side. Wordlessly, Isabella steps back and runs off, leaving only a muttered thanks and a small lackluster smile. Only after the last of her footsteps fade away does Ashton move, breaking the silence with one of his sharp exhales before reaching up to pinch the bridge of his nose in a gesture of frustration and surrender.
Did you really have to tell her that?
I'm telling you.
What do you want to hear from me then? That everything's fine?
No, I want all of you to stop putting these ideas in her head. None of it is helping. Never mind. Don't worry about her. I'll bring her back here.
He's already poised to leave when my own instinct takes over. I reach for him, gripping his elbow with the same unyielding grip, the action prompted by voices whispering at the back of my mind. He's already made it clear he's not going to believe me, but he deserves a word of caution. Who knows where all of this will take us? How all of this will end? He shouldn't be caught off guard, beliefs notwithstanding.
Ash, I know you don't believe in those things she's saying. And you know me. I'm less inclined to believe in those things as you do. But I've seen something. There's something strange going on here. You don't have to buy it. If you don't want to listen to me, fine. But please, try to hear her out.
Okay. That's the most selfless thing Becca's done so far.
It's bad enough that Isabella goes off like this without telling anyone. I'm just worried something might happen to her if she keeps at it. Talk to her, okay?
As if she trusts me enough for that.
Doesn't the fact that she approached you first about this, instead of me, already say a lot?
You know, I think Becca's finally starting to move forward. I might be premature, but I think the first steps are starting. A different kind of trust, granted implicitly and never spoken, sometimes too big, too fragile to last. He falls silent for a long moment as he turns it over in his mind. In the end, all he manages to offer is a small nod before he departs and a promise to at least listen to her, without the teasing or the jibes. A favor for me, and the least he could do for her. This is as much as I can do for him as well, until I've understood what's happening myself. Okay, and what does that say? Isabella and Ashton arrived at Salem while having an argument about the missing BRC employee's investigation. Annoyed by the noise, Rebecca interfered and, in the end, asked Ashton to keep an open mind. Tonight, hopefully, where this all started will provide the answers I'm looking for.